It's almost impossible to know for certain how compliant you're being as a business. And it doesn't help that lies and scare tactics are at an all-time high in the industry because of payroll companies trying to sell their services. There's a huge lack of information and clarity provided by HMRC on most things, let alone niche issues such as long-term subbies on your books. Compliance means the action or fact of complying with a wish or command. This is the Oxford Dictionary's definition at least. But in real terms, what this means when it comes to HMRC is follow their commands and you'll be compliant.
Do as I command!
Problem is, how do you do that when you've got a revolving door of subcontractors? Do we all just sit around waiting for the brown envelope to land on the mat, telling us to go straight to jail and not to collect 200 quid if we pass go? The good thing is that contrary to popular belief, the chances of a look-in from HMRC are relatively slim. That's not us saying you'll be fine and you'll get away with whatever setup you're running, but it's just not as often as apparel companies make out. But if they do come knocking, get compliance right. It's harmonious. Get it wrong, and there's a potential of a backdated employer's national insurance bill on behalf of your subbies. So how do you know if you're doing it right? There are a number of factors that have to be considered when determining employment status, so it's hard to say in a video. But let's take two examples. Danny owns a scaffolding firm specialising in new build housing and the occasional commercial project. His lads meet at the yard at 6:30 every morning to be given the daily job sheet by Danny and get the vans loaded. Both the vans and the scaffolding belong to Danny. Each truck has a fuel card and is sign written with the company details, and the only tools required by his subbies are their spanners. Danny likes to present a modern image for his business, so he also provides t-shirts, hoodies and high-vis. He's seen the uniform he provides as a good source of advertising whilst also presenting a professional brand. The subbies are also paid on a set day rate. If they work on a Saturday, he tends to give them a bit of an inflated rate. Paying on a set day rate suits Dan as it allows him to price jobs easier, and the lads like it this way too. Every now and then, one of the subbies' health and safety ticket expires. Because they're loyal and hard-working, Dan also pays for the renewal on their behalf. So, self-employed? Or should these be classed as employees? Let's do another. Mike is a brickwork contractor specialising in new builds for national house builders. His reputation has been built off the back of him and his workforce. The continuity of work means the same subbies have been with him for a number of years. They tend not to work elsewhere either. Mike operates on a labour-only basis and his clients provide all the materials, and his subbies are largely paid on a meterage rate. At the end of each week, Mike receives a text showing the amounts being claimed by the workforce. His subbies work together. At the end of the week, one of them will tell Mike what they're due to be paid. Mike double checks the amounts when he attends the site and measures up for his own valuations. Other than providing a high vis, as stipulated by his client, Mike doesn't provide the subbies with any vehicles, equipment or uniform. Being an owner-operator, Mike's day is pretty full on. So he relies on his subbies to be on site and crack on with the job as per the site programme. So is Mike's workforce generally self-employed, or should they be classed as employees? Did you assume that because Mike's workforce is paid on price work basis, they appear to be more like a business and that Mike is operating compliantly? However, did you take into consideration that the fact that the workforce only work for Mike and the fact they don't provide invoices? Being in business in their own right, self-employed subbies are required to keep business records. Not providing an invoice seems to hint that the subbies do not see themselves as a business in their own right. How's it look now? Did you rule out the genuine self-employment in the case of Danny? Is that because their workforce don't appear to be operating as a business in their own right? But what if there were sound commercial reasons for Danny to provide all the equipment? In both cases, it's entirely possible to argue each of them as being either employed or self-employed. It just depends on your interpretation and opinion. This is the power of putting a contract in place between you and your subbies. By documenting how you work with the subbies on a day-to-day basis and giving genuine business reasons as to why you're working that way, it removes all interpretation and opinion. Opinions are views or judgments formed about something, not necessarily based on facts. By not having a contract in place, it leaves everything open for interpretation, and HMRC doesn't care if he said, she said when they want their money. We go to great lengths to make sure we've got your relationship between you and your subbies nailed for one reason. We don't want to claim on our insurance policy. Look, if you're worried about your contract risks and you want to work with subbies long term, let's have an open chat. With our years of know-how, we can offer you the best advice for your business to protect you from HMRC and the people on the ground.